This one technique will immediately change your life. For full disclosure, I'm not the one who came up with this technique. It was taught to me by my mindset coach, Genevieve Davis. If you never heard of Genevieve, she's a best-selling author, an entrepreneur, and she's way smarter and successful than me. The technique she taught me saved my life. Without it, I wouldn't have life or a business. But I'm not here to waste your time. In this video, I'm gonna share with you what is it, how it works, why it works, and real-life examples of how this technique changed my life and how it can change yours too. Let me introduce you to the worst case scenario technique. Imagine you want something really bad. Be it getting rich, marrying your dream partner, reaching $1 million in sales in the next 12 months, or traveling the world all the time. You want this thing so much and you're taking action to get there. This technique helps you get to that goal, but also lets you enjoy the journey to it. It makes you perform stress-free without all the pressure that comes with chasing your dreams. The worst case scenario technique is broken into 3 steps. The first step is to assume the worst case scenario. But what does that mean? Imagine the thing that you want so much and assume it's never gonna happen. So, for example, you want to marry your dream partner. The worst case scenario is gonna be not marrying your dream partner. Ever. Your dream is to be rich. Your goal is to be successful and travel the world and be famous. The worst case scenario is that none of these things ever gonna happen. But you might be asking, are you trying to help me reach my goal? Or are you telling me that this goal is never gonna happen? I want you to bear with me. A personal example would be 3 years ago. Me and my family were living in Shanghai, China, and we couldn't continue living there. With all the quarantines and the lockdown and the terrible things that we saw, we just wanted to move. And also at that time, I was building a business and I wanted to get it to $1 million of sales per year. And then Genevieve taught me this technique. The first step is to imagine that this thing is never gonna happen. So the worst case scenario is that I'm never gonna be able to move to Europe. I was never gonna make it to $1 million in sales. Step number 2 is to find a way to be okay with the worst case scenario. Find a way to be okay if you're never gonna get rich. Find a way to be okay if you're never gonna reach your goal. Accept that you're never marry that person. Accept that you will never travel the world. Just find a way to accept the fact that this thing might never happen. And the third step is to find reasons why the worst case scenario is actually better than the best case scenario. You remember when I mentioned a personal example earlier? When I wanted to move to Europe so much? So the first step for me is to assume I'm never gonna move to Europe. The second step is to find ways to be okay with that. But then the third step and the most important step is to find reasons why not moving to Europe is actually better. I just noticed that my RGB light went out of battery and now I don't have the contrasting blue and orange theme anymore, so forgive me for that. But who cares about the theme? You're here to watch this incredible speaker. Just kidding. And since you're still here, that means you're getting value out of this video. So please consider subscribing and pressing the like button. It really helps us a lot. Thank you. So I keep thinking to myself, why would it even be better if I didn't achieve that goal? If I didn't move to Spain, I would most probably move to Egypt. The life expenses in Egypt are a lot cheaper than Europe. This is number 1. Number 2, I'm originally from Egypt, and so my kids are gonna be able to speak Arabic, practice their Arabic. I'm gonna be able to see my mom and dad every single week. And the list of reasons became longer and longer. And then I stopped and realized that not moving to Spain is not that bad after all. And only after I came up with all these reasons, I felt like, it doesn't matter. It is okay. I was still working towards my goal, but I had that pressure taken off my chest. And before you think this sounds counterintuitive, I'm gonna show you how it works and why it works. Have you ever noticed that the more you want something, the harder it becomes to achieve? And if you suddenly stopped caring about it, everything will fall into your lap? Did you hear a story about this single guy who was desperately trying to find a partner, and then a few weeks later he just decided that dating is not for him, and then suddenly he got girls lining up to be in a relationship with him? These stories are real because this is the reality. If you want something so hard and you keep working on it the whole time and you keep thinking about it the whole day and you put a lot of pressure on yourself to reach that goal, you're most probably not going to get there. Because you're not performing from a place of abundance. You desperately want something. The more you hang into it, the more it gets away from you. And the more you relax and try to not think about it that much, but still work towards it, it becomes a lot easier for you to achieve. But why this technique works? Have you heard that you mustn't be too attached to a goal if you want to reach that goal? And the more attached you get to it, the further it goes away from you. And I remember this one quote from Genevieve when she said, "Wanting is the opposite of having, Just think about it. If you want something so much, that means you don't actually have it. And the more you want this thing, the more the negative feelings of not having this thing will control you and absorb you. But learning to detach from that outcome, learning to get detached from that goal, to let go of that goal, this is exactly when you start receiving that outcome. This is exactly when you start seeing positive things happening and all your work coming to fruition. But only when you let go of it, when you stop obsessing about this goal, only then you're gonna start achieving this goal. But here comes the big question, the dilemma. How can you not want something that you want? It's crazy, right? How can you get detached from your goal? How can you still want it but not want it? Well, this technique is one of my favorite ways to do just that. To want something but not to want it too much that it ruins you. So let's try this right now. Think of a goal that you're trying to achieve. Next, instead of thinking about how much you want it, I want you to think about the worst case scenario, that this thing that you want will never happen. Then I want you to find a way to be okay with it. Please feel free to pause this video and take a second to think about it. Now, expecting the worst case scenario doesn't mean sitting around doing nothing and thinking about what might happen. Expecting the worst means looking at the worst case scenario full in the face, considering all the consequences that come with it, and still be okay with that. That you're absolutely fine with whatever happens. That you're okay with the worst, the best, and everything in between. Now, can you feel what happens when you do this? Without realizing, you become automatically less attached to that outcome. And if you do this well enough, those worst case scenarios will never find a way to your life. Now at this point, you're already halfway there and you can just stop right there. You can just stop this video. No, I'm kidding. Please keep watching. Because step number 3 is really gonna power things up. Now I want you to think of a way that it would actually be better if the worst case scenario happens. You know, I personally used this technique countless times and it saved me a lot of money and it saved me a lot of headache and pressure. I used this technique to buy a house. I used this technique to buy my car. I used this technique to get my business to $1 million of sales per year and then exit that business and have the life that I want, the financial freedom that I want. Genevieve, if you're watching this, thank you. And thank all of you for sticking around and reaching that part of the video. Thank you for being here. But before you leave, I have another tip for you. If you find it a little bit hard to accept the worst case scenario or to find a reason why the worst case scenario is going to be actually better than the best case scenario, then I have a video for you. This video right here is going to show you why pain is necessary and how it can get you to what you want faster, easier, and in better shape. Take care.